Pregnant women, the elderly, and children under 16 should avoid prolonged exposure to Dirt Diggler. Dirt Diggler may suddenly accelerate to dangerous speeds. Dirt Diggler has high gluten content and is not kosher, halal, or vegan safe. Do not ingest Dirt Diggler, as Dirt Diggler is for external use only. Discontinue listening to Dirt Diggler if any of the following occurs: itching, vertigo, dizziness, discoloration of urine, tingling in extremities, loss of balance or coordination, slurred speech, temporary blindness, profuse sweating, heart palpitations, increased use of profanity. If listening to Dirt Diggler gives you an erection lasting longer than 4 hours, you're welcome. Listening to Dirt Diggler may lead to unplanned pregnancies. If Dirt Diggler begins to smoke, get away immediately. Seek shelter and cover head. Dirt Diggler may stick to certain types of skin. When not in use, Dirt Diggler should be returned to a special container and kept under refrigeration. The ingredients of Dirt Diggler include, but are not limited to, a glowing substance which fell to the earth, presumably from outer space, and bad memories. Do not taunt Dirt Diggler. Dirt Diggler does not come with a lifetime guarantee. Dirt Diggler. Enjoy the show.
Extra heat.
All right, it's Dirt Diggler, the dirtiest Diggler to ever Diggler for Dirt Diggler.
That's right.
I got a new guest. I got Ken from Connecticut. Ken, can you give him a shout?
What up?
All right, hey, Ken from Connecticut, not to be confused with Ken Kniff from Connecticut. This is not the same Ken. This is a whole different Ken.
I thought we just talked about this.
No, I'm making sure that listeners don't associate you with Ken Kniff from Connecticut, because you are not Ken Kniff from Connecticut. You're just Ken from Connecticut, not Ken Kniff. You are not Ken Kniff, but you are from
Maryland.
I'm not from Maryland. I just live here, man. I've made that.
Soon to be living in Maryland. So
yeah. You're gonna be down here, down in the land of the perpetual victim pretty soon. Yeah. So Ken here is a rather diehard fan of the Patriots and the other Boston franchises, which, if you listen to the show, I've besmirched them quite frequently. And it's been unfair to those fans because they haven't had any representation on the show before
Till
today.
Now.
Right. So welcome, Ken. Welcome to Dirt Diggler's Shitty Sports Show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. All right, so we're going to go over the schedule for today's show. So first thing I'm going to cover is, I was gone for a while, and we're going to go into why I hadn't recorded a show in a while. We're going to go over the NBA Finals and the NBA playoffs, Tiger Woods, why we have this desire to name a GOAT out of this generation's athletes or period, the NFL Draft, the Patriots outlook, followed by the Eagles outlook, the Bear of the Week, and, of course, my shitty hot take of the week. So let me just get right into it. Like, I was gone, all right? So just like the week prior to the Super Bowl was the last show I did. I did not do a Super Bowl show. I didn't do one. This is the first show I've done since right before the Super Bowl. And that was a while ago. That was like February I did my last show, I guess. And some of y'all may have wondered why I stopped. And the bottom line is I was simply overwhelmed with life, and I was dealing with some mental health issues. I had some depression. I'm not going to sit here like you actually may have heard it on a couple shows to where I was kind of phoning it in, and it didn't seem like my heart was in it. I was kind of fighting off some depression, and I had been doing it for a long time on my own, and it just wasn't working, and I had to reach out and actually seek professional help and do all the other things. And I'm very glad that I was able to take that step, and I'm very glad that the people around me were able to for one, bear with me, but the second to convinced me, hey, you need to go and see somebody about this. So it took a lot. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you've ever dealt with depression yourself or know with someone who's dealt with depression, it's really hard. It's really hard to seek help. It's hard to seek help because you kind of feel like you should be better than this, and or maybe you're not worth it or something else. But it's really difficult to seek help. So if you find yourself, in those doldrums, if you find yourself going through that depression cycle, for yourself and for those around you, go and get some help, especially my vets, my fellow vets. If you've got some depression or PTSD, those scars that don't show, if you got some of those going off for you and you feel like, shit is just out of control and things are horrible and dark and grim, seek some help, seek some help. And I don't mean go out and grab a 12-pack and that's your help. I mean, actually go seek professional help. And they'll help you get through it, because once they clear the clouds, you start to really appreciate that the clouds, you see things better. You get to frame your life a lot better once the clouds themselves are clear. Have you ever had to deal with depression personally, or with
Oh,
someone around you? Have you ever had to deal with anything like that?
oh, I mean, let's frame it from, given our history together, a little not getting too in depth, but you remember I went through some issues.
Yeah.
Back when we were out in Japan,
Yeah.
and that was the start of it. And I was that was the hardest part for me, was I felt shame. I'll tell you right now, like when I was going through that, I was made to feel like I was an inferior product, and that led to me kind of stifling my issues for a long time, until it was just like, I didn't want my family and my loved ones to know that I was going through that, because they were just, I didn't want to blow the illusion that I was doing good in the military, and then it kind of just got to be too much for me to handle, and I had to do what you were saying, seek out professional help, and I'll tell you, it has really lifted the veil for me. Between the the visits to the mental health professionals, and the different types of therapy, I am a firm advocate, though, of not of trying to not deal with it with medication. I'll say right now, I am a firm believer in the power of cognitive behavioral therapy and mindfulness as a more effective solution than anything that can come in pill form. And I think everybody out there should at least give that a try, because if you talk your way through it and you just challenge yourself and your negative thoughts on a more regular basis, you'll find it does a lot more for you and how it affects your mental well-being.
Yeah,
and that's my piece on it.
Yeah, I had to take a different route, but at the end of the day, as long as you get to where you got to go, then that's it. All works. If you can will yourself with some counseling or whatever, if you can will yourself into some happiness, that's cool. If sometimes you need to take some antidepressants, that's okay. Antidepressants have come a long way since the days of Prozac. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of stuff that happened. But all right, so like I said before, listeners, if you or someone around you, is having a tough time, you can start to see through those cracks of that mask that people that wear when they're depressed. If you can get help or get them to get some help, it can mean the world to that person. It can mean the world to yourself. And you got to take care of yourself. You got to take care of your people, and that's important. It's always important, especially now. A lot of stuff's happening, and folks are seeing a lot of doom and gloom. If you watch the news, and it's easy to fall into it. It's easy to start loathing yourself, and it's easy to let your pride get in the way. Don't let that happen. Don't let it happen to other people, and just take care of each other. And so that's why I was gone. Right? I had so much going on. I had that going on, school going on, work going on, side projects going on. And so I just couldn't. I just for every time you dropped the ball, it was just terrible. But we're past that. I detached from everything, gave myself some time, and I'm ready to get back and rock and roll and do Dirk Diggler's shitty sports show like Dirk Diggler does his shitty sports show. So, boom. Done with that. NBA Finals, NBA playoffs are shit. They are
God.
Absolute shit. And let me explain to you why. And Ken, if you want to interject, feel free. So, we knew from the tip-off of the first game of the season that we were going to see Golden State and Cleveland in the fucking finals again. Because we looked at those conferences. We looked at the East and the West, and we didn't see a single team remotely in position to challenge. You could say maybe San Antonio can push Golden State, but not when you add Kevin Durant to that fucking team. Like, you got to think, besides Kawhi Leonard, who do they have that can really carry that franchise?
Parker's Kawhi Leonard, it was done.
Well, it was done before they lost Kawhi Leonard. It looked competitive, but let's be real. Golden State will rack off a freaking 60-point quarter on you. It's once they get rolling, they're a goddamn juggernaut. So Kawhi Leonard may have helped, but the bottom line is San Antonio at the beginning of the season did not have the talent to compete with that team. That is a stacked team. You're talking about a starting five to where four players can absolutely punish you from behind the arc. You're talking about a starting five to where you have Kevin Durant, who can score from anywhere, and you kind of can't guard him. You have Steph Curry you got to worry about, Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, and whatever big they put in, which JaVale McGee's been playing well. No one in the West was going to stop Golden State, and we all knew that at the beginning of the season. And then you look at the East, which is the fucking dumpster fire of Knicks-like teams. Let's be real. Like, the Knicks are terrible. The Sixers are terrible. Boston was okay, but they're nowhere near what they need to be to compete.
And people need to realize one thing on this is that on the fact that Cleveland just stopped caring, towards the end. They valued health more than anything, and that's what lets Boston slip back in.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, Cleveland took some time off. They got an older roster than Golden State does. So, they coasted, and because they turned it off, you had a team like Boston able to take the number 1 seed, but Cleveland knew that Boston wasn't going to win the fucking series. Like, even with Isaiah Thomas, even with Mighty Mouse out there, there's just not enough to counter Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love and LeBron James.
Kyrie could beat the Celtics by himself.
Kyrie honestly could beat them by himself. Kevin Love contributes well. He's doing well as a third man out of the 3. But it's all about LeBron, and there really isn't a single player. Maybe I can say Kevin Durant that can go toe to toe with LeBron during the game as far as scoring points. But I mean, LeBron's versatility and ability to do other things puts him in a different category than someone who's a pure scorer like Durant. But nonetheless, on a team like Golden State, a pure scorer like Durant is all you need, really. I could say someone like Russell Westbrook could probably do a good job against LeBron James because he's such a physical specimen. But, I mean, it's difficult. So I don't see anyone in the East, and I don't see anyone for the next several years, any team being able to compete with either of those franchises. You have Durant saying he's going to take less money to stay in Golden State. What? In the age of max contracts, he's going to take less money to remain on that team. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no, man. Come on.
I mean, I started the playoffs with hope that, I wanted the Dubs to win, if only so that Durant gets that taste of a championship and then he opts out.
Nah, he wants to stay.
Well, yeah, I know. I know that now. I mean, this is me as a diehard Celtics fan who was convinced that, Tom Brady got in his ear enough to get him to come over to Boston. And it's like, no, not Golden State, no.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bad look for the NBA right now.
Under that hope that Tom get back in his ear.
Well, I doubt it. So here's the thing, though, right? So these guys are paid.
Too.
These guys are paid. So it's not like the money is an issue. These guys are paid. They want the championships. They want to stack up that hardware. And so that's why you have like the original Boston Big 3. Those guys were all toward the end of their primes, and they built that team together, and they were able to rack off a championship as a result. They went to another finals or two. But those guys were at the end of their primes, right? So when LeBron took his talents to South Beach and joined forces, he was going into his prime. Those guys were going into their prime. Dwayne Wade may have been toward the end, middle, but those guys were very much, had years left on them. So that's kind of why LeBron was painted as a villain. That and the decision itself, that little debacle that was a decision, I mean, it seemed very narcissistic and self-aggrandizing. Even though the money went to charity, it just seemed like a douche move, which is why people kind of like. I know that's why I didn't like LeBron after that.
Oh yeah,
I don't mind him so much now, but I mean at the time, like while he was part of the Heatles, I fucking hated the Heat and I hated LeBron James. When they won with LeBron with Dwayne Wade and Shaq, I was like, cool, whatever, good job. I think Hardaway was on that team, got his first ring, and I was happy. I was happy for him. Good job, Miami Heat. But when LeBron joined them, it had a different air to it. It was like, the East was starting to really weaken during that time. There really weren't a lot of Boston was the only challenger there, and they were aging, and then you had Ray Allen defect, and it was a wrap after that.
Yeah.
So
sore spot on that one.
Yeah. So we criticized LeBron, we criticized Durant for jumping ship to stack teams, but we don't criticize the original Big 3. We don't criticize Gary Payton and Karl Malone in their twilight years joining the Lakers to try to chase a ring. We don't criticize Charles Barkley going to the Rockets to chase a ring. We don't criticize these guys. Like we don't criticize Drexler. Remember, Drexler defected to the Rockets as well. I want to say the only players that really stayed in their teams, if you don't count Michael Jordan's 6-man coming off the bench as a partial owner of the Wizards, was like Elijah Wan and Ewing. Even Alonzo Mourning, but Ewing
played for the Magic for 1 year.
But that's like when Robert Parrish played for Charlotte.
Oh, God, don't remind me.
Remember that happened? That happened.
Yeah, I know it happened. I wanted the Chief to retire in Celtic green. Thank you.
Everyone did, but the Chief didn't want to hang it up, just like Reggie White played a season as a Panther. We like to forget that shit. Like Reggie White, the guy, after all them years in Philly and in Green Bay, he did suit up as a Panther. And we totally forget that he did that. Like, we just out of convenience, we're like, but these guys, they're trying to. We like to demonize the young talent now, and I don't think it's fair. And we'll get into a little bit more of that when we get into the GOAT discussion. But I mean, when these guys are the NBA's letting it happen. The NBA's letting it happen, but the NBA can't really stop it.
They're trying to take steps.
Well, they can't really stop it because remember they moved as free agents. So right,
yeah, but the thing is now they're also allowing teams to offer more money to keep their guys.
But do you know what happened was the NBA signed a contract with the Players Association, the union, to where revenues would get split and put into the cap, and they had an exceptional year of earnings for broadcasting. So that windfall raised the cap, and that's why you start getting third-tier players getting max contracts because they had to burn money. So now you have guys that are moving like Durant, who team can without a question afford to pay him max contract because the cap rose so high over a 2-year period.
And that's why we're going to see supermax contracts next year.
Yep, you're going to see all kinds of shit. You got players that are seriously getting dumped on their franchises for the sake of just absorbing cap so they don't get penalized for not meeting the minimum. Yep. So the NBA did this to itself, and if Adam Silver doesn't address it, it's going to cause some really – like this playoffs was shit. Nobody challenged anybody. It was like you knew of the two teams playing right now in the finals, only one team lost one game on the way to the finals, and that was the game that Cleveland took off after Isaiah Thomas got hurt. They lost that one game, and then they promptly came out and freaking wore them out. And it's like, all right, well – I mean, Golden State is undefeated in the playoffs right now. They haven't lost yet. Since the beginning of the playoffs to game one of the finals, they have not lost, and their win margin has been 18 points.
They haven't been challenged at all.
There was like a half of basketball where San Antonio gave them a run, and then Kawhi Leonard went down, and that just fell to shit. And that was it. After it was like nothing up to that point was worth it, and nothing afterward was worth it.
Yeah, in reference to the Western Conference Finals Game 1, that fueled even further my hatred of Zaza Pachulia.
Well, he's a goon. I mean, I watched him play. He's a goon. I mean, he honestly,
I loved it. I did love it when Kevin Garnett floored him in the 2008 playoffs.
Yeah, well, he's a goon. He's that guy that 6 hard playoff fouls. I do like JaVale McGee. I think he's a much better everything than Jaja. I think Jaja is just a body out there.
Yeah.
I think he's just a body out there. But, he doesn't need to be anything more than that on a team that's stacked. Remember, Jordan had a couple centers that were just garbage. After Bill Cartwright, who was there? There was the Australian, and that guy was just there.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Longley, I think his name was?
Luke Longley, yes. Luke fucking Longley. That guy was not good. But he was – how many rings did he have? Like 4 rings?
Yeah,
Fuck, man.
He was there.
You're not going to say he's a Hall of Famer, but he was there. He occupied a space. He occupied a space. But yeah, so you need those bodies out there that defend that paint and get you those rebounds that allow your skill guys to go out there and do all the other good stuff. And everyone can't be a Shaq. Everyone can't be a Bill Russell. In fact, those guys are hard to. You don't see players like that anymore, which is crazy. But
they're transcendental.
Yeah, you just don't see transcendental big men anymore. I mean, Dwight Howard, I guess, is the closest thing to it. If you don't want to count Antonio Davis as a true big man, as a true 5, but there hasn't been a true 5 since Shaq that was really fit that archetype of that banger. Elijah was not really a banger. He was graceful, but he would bang with you. Hewing, David Robinson, those guys. Dennis Rodman, the closest thing to Dennis Rodman now would be, would you say, Draymond?
Yeah.
I guess that's the closest. Not that I'm saying he's just as good or better, but just that type of player that does all that grunt work like Dennis Rodman. That's it. Like, so, we don't really have the dominant big men that you ran your offense through. We don't have that.
And to be fair, Draymond's not really that big.
No, he's just versatile.
Yeah.
He's just versatile. I mean, he's extremely versatile, and he doesn't have to be the man because you have Klay Thompson, Curry, and now Durant. So you don't have to be the man. You know, he can fill in. He has when he warms up, that's good because then the other players can they don't have to play perfect anymore. You know. Yeah. Part of the problem last year in the finals when they played was Steph Curry kind of fell apart, and Draymond Green got himself in trouble with the whole cup checking everybody thing. So he got suspended and was suspended for a game, and that cost them a lot. They lost their composure. They lost their momentum, and as a result, they lost the series and the championship. But I don't think that's going to happen this year.
I don't think so either.
There's just too much going on with that team. But
if this series goes 5,
I don't think it goes 5. I think the Warriors sweep them. I mean, seriously,
I think so too.
If they can't figure out how to slow down Durant, they're going to get swept, and it's going to be terrible.
Lights out.
It's going to be terrible. So we watched Kevin Durant get like 4 uncontested dunks because they were so worried about Steph Curry posting up behind the three-point line on the fast break that they abandoned the paint and just let Durant coast and get his dunk. I watched that over and over again. I watched Kevin Durant just exploit their fear of Curry shooting. And if they can't slow him down and force Curry to win the game, then they're going to get swept. If they can answer Kevin Durant, then they have a better chance. But right now, they don't have an answer for Durant. And until they do, I'm saying Golden State in 4 for that series. For that shitty series, which is going to make it an even shittier playoffs because they're going to win by like fucking 20 points each game. Yeah. So back to the playoffs being shit this year. Adam Silver, you're on notice. Fix your shit. You know, nobody wants to pay money to see these guys just coast to the championship like this. It's not even cool. Break this shit up, man. Break this shit up. Lower the cap. Figure it out. Fuck, man.
Figure it out, please.
All right, man.
So, but moving along on that, but the most exciting thing for me this NBA playoffs is watching the Celtics get the number 1 pick in the draft for the first time, like, ever.
Yeah, that was pretty slick of the Celtics to pull that off, man. It was really
that is the greatest trade in the history of trades, depending on what side of the trade you're on.
It was pretty solid, man, because nobody knew the Celtics were going to do as well as they did this year.
Well, not only that, nobody knew that Brooklyn would be that bad.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
I mean, just for years to come.
But that's not only
that. Well, not only that, but like they went all in and got like what 1 playoff series win out of it. They got 3 aging veterans at the end of their careers.
Yeah, you kind of need to understand that these guys, they're not going to win now. You got to get some youth.
Yeah, and not only that, 3 guaranteed first-round picks.
Mm.
Like the Celtics still own next year's pick of the Nets.
Oh, God. Well,
so the Celtics could have the number 1 pick 2 years in a row.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate. But if that
you,
well, yeah, because I'm a Sixers fan, and besides Joel, you know what? Look, trust the process. Trust the process.
I trust Danny Ainge.
Hey, look, you got a lot of building to do in Boston in the Garden before they're even in the same zip code as the Cavaliers right now.
Oh, I know this, and that's with the whole mailing it in for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
They're
going to push next year.
Finals.
No, you're going to push next year. Isaiah Thomas is going to go through surgery for his torn labrum in his hip. He's gonna
draft.
Yep, you're gonna draft some other shooters or big men, and then you guys are gonna push to try to beat the Cavs. That's really all you can do. You have a guard. Yeah. You have a guard that can kind of keep up with Kyrie Irving. You have a guard. You have a good guard, right, with Isaiah Thomas. You don't have that piece that can compete with a LeBron. Not many players can. There really aren't. You have like Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant, and that's about it. Really, I'm thinking about it. Who else would I say could even remotely get in that guy's? Iguodala does a good job of slowing him down, but Iguodala's not going to put up.
Yeah, but because of Durant taking less money on Golden State, he's going to stay with Golden State.
He's going to stay. So
we have to look forward to either the Celtics trade the number 1 pick for Paul George, Jimmy Butler, or whatever. And that's not going to get them in the zip code.
The Celtics
or they keep the number 1 pick.
Just keep the pick and take your draft. Paul George is coming off an injury. He's probably going to end up in Philly. If you can get a player like Anthony Davis, which you're not going to, But if you can get a player like Anthony Davis, that's the kind of guy you need in Boston if you're going to compete with Cleveland.
Yeah, well, because Markelle Fultz is not going to close the gap, and we are not drafting Lonzo Ball.
The Lakers are going to draft Lonzo Ball.
Well, yeah, because his dad has already pretty much ruined it for everybody else. And even
the
what if the
Sixers were
Lakers
saying that.
What if the Lakers pass on Lonzo?
Well, the Sixers were saying his family is a problem, so they don't want to deal with his dad either. So it's actually costing him at this point his father's antics. So that's going to be interesting. It wouldn't be the first time someone's parent totally fucked over their pro career, Todd Maranovich. But actually, his dad didn't do. He was fucked when he got there because his dad had. That's a tragic story, actually. But
it is.
It's pretty bad. But yeah, his antics are costing him. And you know what? Maybe next show we could talk about the balls, giggity, and discuss this. Well, I understood what he's doing. I understand what he's trying to do, but he is definitely going about it a really, really shit-tastic way, and it is complicating his kids' lives, and it's not okay.
Even if Lonzo turns out to be a solid pro, LaMelo and LiAngelo are screwed because now no college is going to want to sign them.
No, they'll get signed. Colleges like money. Colleges like money. They like money. Trust me, they're going to sign them. With controversy comes press comes coverage comes money. They'll sign them. They'll commit, and they'll hope for the best. But we'll see. Remember, his dad didn't start losing his mind till Big Boy was going pro. So it is what it is. It is what it is.
I know he was getting there during the season.
But
it
was his senior year though. He knew his boy was going pro. He had to set the branding up. So he may keep quiet. He may keep quiet for those. Oh, he's a freshman?
Lonzo's a freshman.
I thought he was had a few years under his belt.
No, Lonzo was a freshman.
So yeah, Adam Silver did say that they're going to get rid of one and done. So that's going to look for that to go away in the next couple of years. So we should start seeing some.
Yeah.
Stuff.
So the other two balls are going to have to stay in college, giggity.
Oh yeah, balls. All right, so all right, we're going to move on from the NBA. We're going to move on from the NBA, and we're going to talk about the greatest golfer of this generation, Tiger Woods. And if you've been living under a rock, in a cave, in the hills, on some other continent. You may not be aware, but he got a DUI, right? And the news came out, and they were like, "Oh, Tiger Woods got a DUI at 7:45 in the morning. He must have been fucking wasted. He was partying too hard." Well, then it came out. He wasn't drunk, but he was totally shit hammered on pain meds. Right, on pain meds. And
then everybody kind of turned the conversation to, he's an opioid addict.
Yeah, but no, it's a real concern. So let's talk about the opioids and Tiger Woods. This guy's had several spinal surgeries, and I've had one myself. I've had a spinal surgery, and it fucks you up, and it's really painful. Yeah. And I've got I have a resistance for addiction. So the opioids, my withdrawals are pretty short lived. When I finally quit the medicine, but that's not true for everyone. For some folks, once they get a taste, that's all they want, and unfortunately, you do build up a tolerance. So you got to think this guy was on pain meds for 6 to 8 months after every surgery that he's had, and so his dosage has to go up. And then they start messing with combinations of opioids for slow release, rapid release, and now you start to really flirt with bad reactions and addiction. And I'm not saying he's an addict. I don't know Tiger Woods, and I don't want to sit here and say he's an addict. But I will say that there's a chance. There's a chance. But so he got his DUI. He got arrested. Shit hit the fan. The good part is that no one died. No one was injured. He fucked up his car, which costs $200,000. It's a beautiful Mercedes. But he fucked it up. Blew a couple tires, damaged the rim, scraped some shit up. The guy was passed out behind the wheel. When the cops got him. So he did test hot for opioids. So it's unfortunate, right? This guy very well could be done with golf. He's never going to attain the record that he wanted to get. I think his body just can't do it. But now he's going to deal with this. And we'll see. I don't think anything truly terrible is going to happen to him legally. But there's other stuff. So hopefully Tiger's got the people around him or has the wherewithal to really look and see if he's got an addiction to this, and really evaluate what's going on, and maybe take additional time off to get himself straightened out for a possible return if that's what he sees, if that's what's possible. But right now he's in bad shape. Physically, he's definitely in bad shape. His body is in shambles. So,
yeah, he really kind of pushed himself through a grinder just getting to those 15 championships.
He did. You know, Tiger's big thing was he had such a powerful drive. You know, his short game and medium game was of course top notch, but really what he killed people with was off the tee. Tiger's ability to drive the ball off the tee was unheard of. He just had such distance on it, such control, and it's a lot of trunk twisting, and ultimately that power is what what killed him was doing that. You know, I'm not a doctor, but you know, if you can't do twisting motions, and that's part of what made you famous, it's kind of a bad thing. So you know, in his pursuit to restore his glory, you end up here. This is what happens.
Yeah. I mean, I remember watching him cut through the 2008 U.S. Open, which is the last tournament I ever watched. Yeah, I actually watched golf once.
Yeah, I can't do it. But
he's trying to grind through a playoff round with Rocco Mediate, who is 45 years old at this point, and you can just tell with every swing, long, short, whatever, he is in serious pain. Like, I think it was his drive off the 18th on his last run. You could just he let out an expletive and a grunt of pain, like shit.
Yep. So
on national television.
Was that before he got his first surgery? Was that led to his surgeries?
That's what led to his surgeries. Yes,
yep.
He
So
wanted
he's
to
been
take a
dealing
lot
with
of
this for
time
about 10
off.
years, about 9 years. He's been jacked up.
Yeah.
So, like I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, hey, this shit's spinal surgery. This shit is not fun. Not a good time. Not a good time. So, good luck to Tiger. You know, I hope you get your shit straightened out. You know, I'd like to see you break the record. That'd be great. I'd like to see it. But if it doesn't, it's more important that you get yourself healthy and taken care of and all the other shit so you can enjoy the rest of your life because you don't need the fucking money. You're good. You know, you're doing this at this point because you want to break the record and make yourself great, but, you know, whatever. That's up to you. You make the decision. Tiger, you're the man. If you happen to hear this, you know, that's amazing for one, but you got to take care of yourself first on this one.
Yes, take care of yourself first. Get yourself set right.
So, all right. So Ken from Connecticut had we were discussing some things earlier, and he was like, "All right, Dirty, why are folks so fixated on this asinine desire to anoint someone the fucking GOAT?" And I got to thinking, like, why do? Because really, half of the discussions now are if one fucknut or the other is the goddamn GOAT. All right, look, is Tom Brady the GOAT? No. Is LeBron James the GOAT? No. Who gives a fuck? Honestly, who gives a fuck? Let's reframe this, right? Because if you want to look at, like, let's start at football. Let's start with the Tom Brady GOAT discussion, right? We look at his stats and his rings and we go, wow, this guy was so prolific. And yes, indeed, he is prolific. However, you have to frame that in the context of how the game is played these days. You're not hand-checking receivers 10 yards down the line of scrimmage anymore. You're not taking headshots on receivers. You're not taking headshots on quarterbacks. You're not hitting them low. The amount of protections, the way the game is being played is vastly different from the time of young Brett Favre, from Joe Montana, Steve Young, Johnny Unitas. The way the game is played is so different now compared to then. Even Dan Marino. You don't think that Dan Marino could have put up absolutely ridiculous numbers in the type of system, the type of officiating we have now? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think he's, bar none, probably the best technical quarterback ever to suit up.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look at it like Marino was putting up 5,000-yard seasons in an era where 3,000-yard seasons were like, wow, that's really good.
Indeed.
And now,
right?
3,000, you're a journeyman quarterback.
Yeah, 3,000 yards, and you're an average slep of a quarterback now. It's insane. So it is not to diminish the shine off of Brady, right? It's just let's really, if you're going to make the discussions, right, you got to put away your fanboy and fangirl clothing, put it away, and actually look at the way the game is being played. Because, I mean, I can sit here and I can say that McNabb was great, and he was great for the Eagles, you know, but I'm not going to sit here and put him in the Parthenon with Fouts and, you know, Montana. As good as he was, I'm not going to put him in that Parthenon because he didn't do what he needed to do. He wasn't on their level as a passer, even during his time. When and McNabb played when the game was changing. Right, you got to remember they were making rules. They found out that people want to see points get scored, right? So let's protect the receivers, let's protect the quarterback, and I'm okay with that. Really, I'm okay with people not getting concussions. I'm totally okay with that shit. But that wasn't always there. Who's the guy that played for Oakland, the quarterback in Oakland for Oakland in the '80s? God damn, I forgot his name. But these guys their receivers were getting assassinated, so you had to deal with that. But you don't anymore. How much better would Jerry Rice have been knowing you couldn't touch him after 5 yards?
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
How many more touchdowns would he have caught knowing that? How much better would Joe?
How many more times would Joe Montana have thrown his way knowing that?
Well, yeah. How many more games would he been available for knowing that you can't hit him in the head? Because remember, He took some headshots, especially in Kansas City. He took some headshots in Kansas City.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he took some headshots. So same thing with Young. Young ended his career because of concussions. Same thing with Aikman. Aikman's career ended early because of concussions. There's dozens of quarterbacks whose careers have ended because of concussion. Receivers, Al Toon for the Jets years ago. Stellar receiver. Only got a couple years. Concussions. So we're so adamant on this GOAT discussion, like in football, of trying to anoint someone the GOAT. And I honestly I believe this is a result of the ESPN 24-hour sports news cycle.
Yeah, and I kind of noticed this, really noticed it during Super Bowl 42, which is always a dark day for me as a huge Patriots fan, because that's the day the Patriots lost their undefeated season.
Yeah.
But, when the helmet catch was made, and it's like nobody could stop talking about, that's the greatest catch I've ever seen. It's the greatest catch in the history of the league. It's the greatest catch in Super Bowl history. And it's like, what's with this recency bias? It's a damn good catch. I'll give him that. It's the one time Rodney Harrison went for the ball instead of the receiver's head. And, it took a miracle, like a sticking the helmet to his helmet, sticking
crazy.
The ball to his helmet. It was great.
But then Edelman just had one of those. Props. Edelman just had one of those this year, where had the rules been different, he would have gotten murdered, but he didn't. So he made the catch, and this would have helped the team come back against the Falcons. It is what it is, and of course now that's. That's his tire. Now Brady has this Tyree moment. He's got the catch now that he's redeemed him. Like, fuck you mean he redeemed himself? Like, Brady was on the sideline watching that shit happen. Like, it shit happens. Like, the Giants were a goddamn buzzsaw that year. Like, they snuck
in 2011 too.
Yeah, they snuck in. Eli Manning did that thing he does in the postseason where he plays perfect football. The defense was monstrous. They got after Brady. They knocked him around. They beat up on people, and Eli proved he was kind of elusive. Like, shit happens.
He was in the grasp.
Man, look, he got away. He got away. He delivered the ball. It was inaccurate as hell, and a guy still came down with it. That was young Eli. The second time around, Eli was much better, but still, he's lights out in the playoffs. That's his thing. He's lights out in the playoffs. Crazy, yeah. But
so I know, I have fellow Patriots fans who are like, "Yep, when we get number 6, we want it to be against the Giants," and I'm just sitting here like, "Oh, really?"
Yeah, you don't want the Giants.
Nah, not really.
I know you were counting your blessing when the Giants finally lost in the playoffs. Like, thank
God.
I
mean, it's just, I honestly, I attribute it more to Tom Coughlin. They came up through the Giants coaching staff together. Coughlin knows his tricks.
Yes.
And McAdoo don't know his tricks.
Well, McAdoo's a Coughlin product.
Yeah, but McAdoo can don't.
Wow. Well done. So, transitioning to basketball, everybody wants to anoint LeBron James as the GOAT. Right? So in the GOAT discussion for basketball is skewed anyway, because, and I'm going to get hell for this, Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, for all their greatness, are not the GOATs. Bill Russell and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had much more impressive careers. However, they did not have the machine of the media, the endorsements behind them that Kobe and Jordan and LeBron have. So Yes, it is not to say like a quarterback's not elite. That doesn't mean he's shit. I'm not sitting here and say that Jordan and Kobe are shitty players. These guys have 11 championships between the two of them, and then you have LeBron's got 4 now, so 3 or 4. So I mean, they're obviously Hall of Fame players. They're obviously some of the great players of their generation. But the GOAT discussion, we like to throw everyone before them out. We throw out Pistol Pete. We throw out Oscar Robertson. We throw out those people.
You throw out Wilt Chamberlain.
We throw out Wilt Chamberlain. Like, holy shit, man. This guy scored as many points as he did.
I can't believe even Magic's not in the discussion.
And that's Magic. Well, Magic's career was cut short. So it's, but Magic was the man. Like, you don't hear Larry Bird's name.
Nope.
Like, I look at Larry Bird's body of work, and he was not just a shooter. People forget he was 6'8". Larry Bird is a monster. But,
Larry Bird was everywhere. I mean,
he was a monster. But
1987 Eastern Conference Finals, Game 5, the steal.
But let's be honest, Larry Bird's a rather unattractive human being. It's hard for you to exist with a loquacious.
Well, his nickname coming out of college was the Hick from French Lick. So
yeah, well, he's the Hick from French Lick. It's hard to get that coverage when you got a very loquacious Magic Johnson on Showtime, on the Showtime Lakers, and it's hard to compete when you've got in media sphere when you've got Air Jordan existing at the same time, who really mastered the art of the endorsement and coverage as a player. It really, Jordan was the first player of any sport to take it to that level. And I don't think, LeBron's there too, I guess, now, but really Jordan's the first to do it. So I think we're more in love with the media legacy that was Jordan. Because if we really look at his stats and compare him to those old big men, then Jordan kind of comes up short. Like, Kareem was an absolute nightmare. Bill Russell, how many championships does Bill Russell have? Like
11.
That's ridiculous.
One ridiculous. And 10 as a player, and even 1 as a player coach.
That's ridiculous.
That's right. Dude was so good he could coach while playing.
We forget that Wilt Chamberlain put up 100. Like, Wilt Chamberlain was the dude as well. Like,
yeah,
we strip too much context out of the conversation when we start talking about GOATs.
If it didn't happen 15 minutes ago, is anybody really going to remember it?
Well, I mean,
that's
here's
the
deal.
problem.
When you have the GOAT discussion, you got to have it, and you got to be able to frame those older generations, because I've never seen Oscar Robertson play. I've never seen Elgin Baylor play. Hell, I saw Kareem, but he was old when I saw him. He was old. But, I mean, I acknowledge that he was still pretty damn good as a decrepit old man running up and down the floor. He was still good. So it's you got to be able to really go back, and it's all on YouTube now, right? Just go back and look at some of the footage so you can be educated as you pursue your GOAT discussion. I mean, if you want to do it, because, you're going to do it. You're going to have the GOAT discussion, and you're going to want your guy to be the GOAT. Just be prepared. You run into someone who honestly doesn't give a shit.
I mean, when we get into the discussions of the older players, well, how prolific would their scoring records be, or their scoring totals be, if they had the 3-point line?
And then you have that. You have that 3-point. I mean, shit. I mean, look. The GOAT discussion needs to go away for a while. Like, let's let these players retire and fucking chill and get inducted, and then let's start having the GOAT discussion. Or
how about this? Instead of just having to anoint a greatest of all time, let's enjoy these players and their greatness as is, and just kind of take it in. Instead of trying to compare this to that. We're comparing apples to orangutans.
You want to do it. You want to do it, and it's wrong. But folks are going to do it. Like I tell you right now, they went and talked to Kobe. And they were like, who did you hate having to face? And he'll tell you Allen Iverson. Like, I hated playing Iverson. I absolutely hated playing that guy. Then, alleged greatest player B hated Allen Iverson. Didn't hate Allen Iverson, but hated having to face him because AI was an absolute monster. But very few people are going to have the discussion that AI is the GOAT because he doesn't have the hardware. But let's be real, it was AI and 11 dudes from the YMCA that went to the championships against that Hall of Fame Lakers team. So, I mean, yeah. And then, practice. We're talking about practice. But he was just mad that day. So
Practice?
Fucking practice? But he had a point, though, even though he was just being pissy. He had a point. Either way, so yeah, like the GOAT discussion, and maybe we can have the prerequisite for the sake of doing it, GOAT conversations here on the show But who cares? Like, if you haven't
Count
seen
me
them
out
play,
on that one.
like if you haven't seen them play, can you really judge their body of work if you've never seen them play?
Right.
I mean, like, you're in your 20s talking about Joe Montana. What the fuck you know about Joe Montana? What the fuck you know?
That's like me trying to really talk about like when I saw Johnny Unitas lead the Colts back. Yeah, exactly. I can't do it.
Yeah, the Unitas. I recognize he was the man, but I really can't frame it completely. I know he was tough as shit, and he was a good quarterback, but I can't really frame his body of work against anybody else's because I didn't see it. It's a different NFL at that time.
Right. Like, I mean, like the last great, quarterback from that era before, we went into the modern era that I can remember when I started playing or watching, I'm sorry, Dan Fouts was still playing. And I got to see his last season. It was like, wow, this guy's good.
Dan Fouts got into the Hall of Fame without a ring as a quarterback, which is obscene.
Yeah, because he was one of three
though.
Quarterbacks with 40,000 plus passing retirement.
He was part of the Air Coryell system.
Right.
So he was way ahead of his time in what they were doing in San Diego at that point in time. But that's that's what it was. Like, Fouts could probably do pretty damn good now, because
Fouts would have more yards than Peyton Manning if he were in this era.
That's debatable, right? Because now we get back to the hypotheticals and shit and the GOAT conversation, and boom, I'm not getting sucked into it. I'm not falling.
All right.
Let's move on.
Let's move it on.
Let's move on to the draft. All right. So hey. Let's take a moment. Bears fans, my deepest condolences. If you weren't aware, your team traded everything to draft Mitch Trubisky out of North Carolina at number 2.
I think it's ironic that they draft him at number 2.
Nobody was going to draft that asshole in the first half of the first round. Right? This guy.
They got schooled. They got schooled by a rookie GM. Okay.
Well, no, they came and they were like, so they talked about it. Like, John Lynch and them all went over it, and they were like, because Peter King was in their draft room, and they had already made the arrangement, right? Chicago already wanted to move up, right? But they thought they were going to go after Solomon, which is who the Niners wanted. So the Niners were like, if we're going to give up Solomon, we want a little extra. So they gave him another pick, and then they picked Trubisky, and it was like, well, shit, we'll take Solomon. We'll take Solomon, and boom, and everyone is like, everyone in Chicago was flipping the fuck out because who does that? But let's frame Mitch Trubisky, right? Let's frame him. He comes from a non-football school in North Carolina. He's a Tar Heel. He started a mind-boggling 13 games in college. 13 games. You just traded like your future to draft a guy that nobody wanted. Number 2 overall with 13 fucking starts under his belt. Yeah. Out of a school not known for its football. Good luck, Chicago. Nope. Oh, and you just paid.
But he had a good combine.
Hey, he did. And so did DeMarcus Russell. Just saying. DeMarcus Russell had a good combine. I believe so, right?
Jamarcus Russell had a better pro day than a combine.
Jamarcus Russell was a goddamn waste of space, man. He had the wrong everything to
do. Yeah, like we could cue up some footage of Trent Dilfer going on and on and on.
I hate that guy. But let's
he got laid off anyway.
They just paid Matt McGloin. Like, Chicago just paid
Mike Glennon.
Mike Glennon. I'm sorry, Mike Glennon. That's who. McGloin. I think McGloin's in Philly, actually. I think he's the third stringer in Philly.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, who cares? But Glennon, they just paid that guy. They just paid the shit out of him, right? So now Chicago generates a quarterback controversy and loses a lot of picks when neither was required. Like, you could have not done either of those things.
Like, those two quarterbacks combined.
Like, you could have drafted Trubisky later at 3. You'd have got him, kept all your other picks, and created the controversy. You could have avoided him and realized that there really weren't a lot of quarterbacks in this draft worth taking, and just moved on and picked something like, I don't know, an offensive lineman or something, a defensive lineman, something.
Yeah.
But you went
address
after
your needs.
Yeah, you went after Trubisky. So it just seemed very counterproductive to pay a guy like that in the offseason and then go draft his replacement. And like, now you're going to deal with that shit in camp. Like, so who's
and what kills me the most about the quarterbacks they've brought in is that neither of them is better than Jay Cutler.
Oh, yeah. Neither is better than Jay Cutler, who's terrible. Cutler's terrible. I mean, Jay Cutler's terrible. Let's not for all the talent Jay Cutler has, and had, Jay Cutler just never was able to stay healthy and put it together. No. And that's, always going to be the legacy of smoking Jay Cutler. The don't care bear. The don't care. Actually, so I've heard some additional context of the story about why they call him, don't care, the whole don't care thing. So apparently he was at a restaurant, and I think he was at like the urinal or something, and he may have been drinking, and some fan came in and was like, oh my God, Jay Cutler. And he was like, don't care. And he, washed his hands and left, and that's where it came from. So basically he's on his off time trying to enjoy himself as an adult, and somebody's fanboying on him too hard, and he gets him with don't care. Let me get back to my wife at the table and our total lack of vaccines. And he hit him with that. And so that he became the don't care bear right there. Because the story is
the don't care bear.
Yeah, the don't care bear, man. He's a don't care bear. But yeah, so Chicago's going to be pretty bad this year, and they're in a division with the Packers, who are, from what I hear, they're pretty good over there in Green Bay.
And the Lions and Vikings are going to be pretty good this season too.
The Lions always look like they're going to do something, and then they always don't. Like,
I'm saying 9-7 ish.
They're not taking the division. They might not even get the wild card.
No. I think 10 and 6 are better.
The Lions will have a week 15, 16, or 17 matchup they have to win, and they're not going to win.
Right.
They don't know how to not do that. They don't know how to not do that. That's the Lions. That's in their culture.
They don't know how to play from behind.
They don't know how to win. Like they are just even with.
They're getting there. Bob Quinn's going to have them better in a couple of years.
We will see. But either way, Chicago's finishing the bottom of that division.
Yes.
Right. So Chicago out-Browns the Browns, which was
like the Browns actually had a solid draft.
We're going to get into the Browns a little later on, but yeah, the Browns did actually have a solid draft. Let's see if they can keep them healthy.
Yes.
So my Eagles, I believe, had a really good draft, and we got some needs met. We were able to get Sidney Jones in the second round, and he was the projected first rounder. But the caveat is he's got a torn Achilles. So in the Philadelphia news cycle, which I'm trying to keep at an arm's distance. Do they rush him back or not? The answer to that question is no. You don't rush him back. You're talking about a guy you're looking at to be your franchise shutdown quarterback for years coming. You don't rush him back. You redshirt him for the entire season, even if he's healthy to play. You redshirt him for as long as you can, and then you bring him in, because you don't want to rupture an Achilles a second time. Right, that's the big thing. Like, that Achilles tendon is a big deal. So, we got him. We got Rasul Douglas. We got some good receivers. We got a little running back that's like 180 pounds with a biscuit in his hand, and Donnell Pumphrey. And he has the FBS record for the most yards from scrimmage. He beat Marshall Faulk's record. And dude's impressive. Dude's a monster. Dude has 200 and something missed tackles and some ungodly amount of yards after contact. So it didn't make sense. So I watched some footage, and what I understand is, he's, you remember watching Barry Sanders play, right?
Oh, God, yes.
All right. Now, remember, one of the toughest things to do was just to tackle Barry Sanders, right? Let alone get a shot on Barry Sanders. So
he could run 25 yards, just gain 4.
Yeah. So if you were a DB and you have Barry Sanders in front of you, you were going to break down for a proper form tackle. You were going to have absolutely no power behind you. You were just trying to grab a hold of him and bring him down. And Barry, on occasions, will drop a shoulder and run you over because you're 5'8", right? So Donnell Pumphrey would do that to people. That's how he got a lot of his yards after contact. That, and he was so shifty that you may have kind of grazed him, but you didn't get a hold of him, so he's able to, squirt out and keep going. So I watched him play, and we'll see how he translates that into the pro game. He is very small, but it is interesting to see how that's going to work out at Philly. I'm very excited. I'm not normally excited about the season like this. I'm pretty excited. So Ken, you got. I'm pretty sure you have some input on how your Patriots did, because.
Oh yeah, for every bit that you're excited about your Eagles, I'm even more excited about my Patriots. I mean, it's not enough that we completed the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history.
Oh, God damn
it. We're the defending Super Bowl champs, so everybody's going to be bringing their A game. But the Patriots went all in for 2017. I mean, they traded away their first and second round picks. Traded away the first rounder to New Orleans for Brandon Cooks.
Yeah,
he's going to give us the over-the-top speed
so not happy
receiver we've been lacking since Randy Moss.
So not happy with that.
Yeah, we traded away a 4th-rounder to Indianapolis to get Dwayne Allen for so Allen and Gronkowski together.
Well,
Gronk restructured his contract.
I don't know if Gronk comes back, man. Like back injuries
Well,
are hard to come back
they
from.
restructured his contract to kind of be
You need
incentive laden.
you need Gronk to kind of just be a shadow of who he was. But I think the days of Gronk absolutely dominating games, I think those days are over. I think he's just.
Oh, I do too. I think that the injuries are really starting to pile up. But
they are. He's getting
they're
tagged.
incentivizing this season for him, so he could.
You remember Cam Chancellor gave him the business a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Cam Chancellor almost turned him inside out. So I mean, Gronk's a big boy, but he took a dart to the chest in the form of Cam Chancellor's shoulder pad. So I mean,
that was last season.
Oh yeah, he's getting he's
and the back problems, the knee problem.
I don't know, man. I think he got 3 years left out of him.
Well, and we recognize that here in New England with all of us crazy Patriots fans.
Mm-hmm.
But we also recognize that like the Brady window is rapidly closing. I mean, you heard Giselle talking about concussions supposedly happening,
which everyone immediately denied, like vehemently. So
yeah, I understand that, but if they did, then that means that the reason they didn't trade Jimmy Garoppolo is because
they need him.
Could be Brady's last season.
Maybe Brady's talking about he wants to play another like 3 or 4 years or something, but we'll see. We shall see.
I give it 2 to 3.
2 to 3.
I say 2 to 3 tops, and I think the Patriots' schedule is backloaded with some brutally tough games. They're going to start off like hot, like 7-1 or something like that, but then they're going to get to the back half, and they've got Denver at Denver.
Ugh.
And then, what? One high altitude game wasn't enough for you? Play the Raiders in Mexico City. Have fun with that. Back-to-back weeks. And they've got the Steelers. They've got the Dolphins twice in 3 weeks.
The Dolphins.
So it could be a grind.
The Dolphins bring it, but the Dolphins never win. Let's be honest, man. There's a reason the Patriots have taken the AFC East for as many years as they have. Is because let's look at the 3 teams that exist in your crappy division. And I say it's crappy because other than the Patriots,
it's a pile of dog shit.
The other 3 teams are piles of dog shit. The Bills, nope, not going to do anything. The Jets, ha 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 ha. And then you have Miami.
Done right in the last 5 years.
Then you have Miami, who has that psychopath Ndamukong Suh soaking up a whole shit ton of salary cap, and they can never put it together. They can never put it together.
And then you have a diva quarterback too.
Yeah, Mr. I get paid more than you, practice squad guy. Quit picking me off. How much
enjoy your practice squad paycheck.
Yeah, please stop picking me off like you're the starting quarterback for an NFL franchise and you're getting paid like a franchise quarterback, and you're getting your ass kicked by the practice squad guys, and your response to that is to dude bro him and tell him to enjoy his practice squad paycheck, which I'm sure was that much sweeter knowing how far under your skin he got. So Tannehill, not sold on him, not sold on Tannehill. So
not sold that the Jets have a solution at quarterback.
I'm not sold the Jets have a solution for being themselves. The Jets.
They'll be good on defense.
Who's the last good quarterback the Jets had?
I'm saying they'll be good on defense, not offense, man.
Even Brett Favre was terrible as a Jets quarterback.
He was marginally okay because Brady was hurt that year.
He was not Brett Favre.
Yeah, no, he was not. You're right. But when you look at what he had to go up against, he was effective.
Yeah, I guess.
And then he tore his bicep the last 5 weeks of the season, but they kept playing him to keep the consecutive streak.
Yeah, it didn't say shit. So, I'm not like the Jets. The Jets are just the last quarterback for them that was any good was really Pennington. And if you go back further, you can say Namath. But if you look at Namath's stats, Namath really wasn't that good of a quarterback.
No, he was a game manager.
Yeah, Namath really wasn't that good. So the Jets have really never had a good quarterback, ever.
Heaping piles of dog shit.
Right, but at the time, the Patriots, as they are, didn't exist, so they were able to, be a semi-good franchise. But, I mean,
4 division titles in 50 years. I just can't. That division's so terrible. Like, you would kill to have the Eagles in that division. I know.
I would kill. Like, we're gonna go over each division when I do why your division sucks. And we're going to talk about that because, yes, the Patriots are a juggernaut of a franchise. Okay, yeah, everyone acknowledges that. However, the other three teams that they feast on year in and year out that donate damn 6 wins to them every fucking year, like no
They
other.
don't always win.
Look, you name another division that has been dominated by one team like the AFC East.
Maybe the NFC West in the 80s.
No, I'm talking about now.
90s.
I'm talking about now because in the 80s it was a whole different structure. So, name a division now that has that kind of absolute dominance in favor of one team.
Up until Peyton Manning was traded, probably the Colts in the South.
Yeah, but the AFC South, yeah, you can say that because AFC South is a dumpster fire.
The
now.
AFC South was constructed specifically for Peyton Manning to succeed.
I'm not even going to deny that. They are pretty bad, though. Like, they are pretty goddamn bad, though.
Come on. Bad. Jacksonville, Houston, and Tennessee.
Houston,
dumpster fire 1 through 3. Come on.
Jadeveon Clowney tried to surgically attach himself to Tom Brady last year in the playoffs. Yeah, Houston's a team.
Yeah. Houston gave him a punch in the mouth. I'll give you
Houston,
that.
you gotta be careful with Houston. They could make that. They could become that division's Patriots if they can get a quarterback that's worth the shit, which they may have drafted. But we'll see. We'll go over all that. All right, we'll go over all that when we do why your division sucks. Right. So, all right, are you done going over your goddamn Patriots?
Coney Ealy was a pretty solid pickup too. There,
yeah,
okay,
he had a good draft. I think Bill Belichick could coach a rec league team to the fucking conference championship. So I mean, it really doesn't matter at this point.
No,
it doesn't goddamn matter.
We'll see you in the AFC Championship game against a team to be named later.
Yeah, pretty much, unless something tragic happens. Knock on wood.
Not really.
But not really.
Hey.
All right, so let me get into my Eagles and our outlook for the year. Right, so. A lot of activity in free agency. I mean, and it looks smart. It looks like smart. Like we didn't do the whole we're going to be a dream team bullshit. No. Alshon Jeffries is a bona fide number 1 receiver, and then you pick up Torrey Smith, who was in San Francisco, but there weren't very many people who were successful in San Francisco during the Jim Tomsula and Chip Kelly era. So
nope.
No, you're not going to be successful there. So they brought him in. Hopefully, he can take the top off. Right then you bring in a couple free agent like linemen to help compete, and then you get Blount, which I did not see coming. Right, so Ryan Matthews was supposed to be the bell cow for the Eagles, but as been the case for his entire career, he can't stay healthy. Right, so he's hurt now with a neck injury, and he's simply waiting for it to be cleared, and then he's going to be released, and he's going to free up a shit ton of cap space. But the Eagles made a move on Blount. They got Blount. The Giants were also flirting with Blount, but he chose to go play with Carson Wentz, which seems to be a reoccurring theme. Alshon Jeffries wanted to play with Carson Wentz. Torrey Smith wanted to play with Carson Wentz. Now, I've said it before.
The only thing that bugs me about the Blount move is the timing of it. Especially after the Patriots slapped that tender on him on May 9th.
But the Eagles don't have any compensatory picks, so they won't get one from the Eagles.
I think it's a league-generated pick. So
well, then definitely won't be getting it from us though.
But it was surprising that they would do that.
He's a 30-year-old running back that had 1,000 yards and 18 touchdowns last year. He's Belichick's good with parting ways. He was the primary back last year. This year he's projected by the pundits to be part of a committee. So you have too many dynamic players behind him that are much, much smaller. But the Eagles had a really tough time scoring inside the red zone, right? I mean, you can run Darren Sproles, but like you stacked him on a goal line, he's not going to push through a pile.
Yes, you need a bowling ball.
You need a bowling ball, and Blount is 250 pounds of tried and true effective bowling ball. So and I watched him. I watched those touchdowns last year, and he pushed through a lot of tackles for the score.
Yes, he did.
He sold out for the score, and the Eagles need a player like that. Now, some folks were saying, well, you don't have that New England offensive line. Well, that's bullshit. I believe the Eagles have a very damn good offensive line.
And it's not like the New England Patriots offensive line was always that great.
No, it wasn't. I mean, but the Eagles have a good offensive line, and that's like everyone. The Cowboys have a good offensive line. Yes. The Eagles have a good offensive line. Yes. The Patriots have a good offensive line. Yes. Like you can have multiple teams with good offensive lines. In fact, the difference in their effectiveness can be minuscule, which affects their rankings, but the number 7 offensive line could only be a fraction worse than the number 1 offensive line. And really it boils down to what are you trying to do. You know, you have some offensive line that excel at pass protection, some that excel at run blocking, like Dallas. Dallas has got a pretty solid offensive line. They're pretty good at both. They lost some talent. Are they the best offensive line still? I don't know. We'll find out when the season kicks off. But like I said, the Eagles had they picked up the defensive end out of Tennessee, and he's getting some praise already in the OTAs for his ability to get off the ball and hit the corner. He was able to get past Lane Johnson when Lane Johnson was playing left tackle. So Jim Schwartz is going to have quite a few toys on his defensive line coming up this year. What killed the Eagles' pass rush last year was the inability of the corners to make a play. Right? If I know that you're going to be bringing that your 4 defensive linemen are absolutely bestial, I'm going to run slants all day long. 2-step drop slant. Boom. Get rid of the ball. If I know your corners can't stop that, then I'm going to keep doing it. And that's what everyone did. The key to the pass rush is making the quarterback hold the ball. In order to do that, you have to have competent defensive backs, and the Eagles did not have that last year. So hopefully this year is a different animal, and they can make the quarterback hold onto the ball a little bit, and the pass rush will get there. And let's hope that Carson Wentz in his second year, with all these newfangled toys that McNabb never got, that all these newfangled toys work for him, and so the Eagles can do some good things. And to be honest with you, man, like I think the Eagles take the division.
You know, I could see where you're going with that. I mean, we're kind of in disarray.
Well, no.
Oh wait, I'm going to get bleeped for that, am I?
No. Well, yeah, I'm going to bleep you for that. I'm going to bleep you for that. You're going to get
the Washington will be down, especially despite Kirk Cousins' best efforts to get paid. Dallas, I feel like Dak Prescott's going to go through a bit of a sophomore. He will grasp. And then Eli,
he is Eli.
He's getting up there in age, though.
Yeah. So here's why I kind of disagree, and it really kind of is anyone's division. I looked at Washington, and I was like, well, they didn't really get better. And I said that because they lost their 2 starting receivers, but they do have a guy coming off his injury going into a second year with Dotson, who was the number 1, who was their first round pick, and then you have the addition of Pryor, who really is an unknown. He is a project. He's a big quarterback converted to receiver, and he's pretty good in Cleveland. Of course, he was the only one in Cleveland. So, of course, his numbers are outlandish because he's the only one.
And Jordan Reed's coming back.
Right, you have Reed coming back. So, but the problem is, that after this year, you're going to lose Cousins because you gambled so poorly with him that you had to franchise him 2 years in a row, and he performed above and beyond. He put up ungodly numbers, and now you just got rid of the 2 receivers he knew. So what happens with him? Either way, he walks. Either that Kirk Cousins could have a career season or a shit season, but he won't be on that team for 2018.
No, he will not. He is gone.
Not. So what killed last year was their see, I said it myself. So you got me saying the goddamn slur. What killed Washington last year was their ability to stop the run. But they look to have addressed that in the draft. So we shall see. So I'm not going to say that they aren't competitive. They are. The Giants are always competitive. They actually upgraded with the addition of Brandon Marshall and that tight end they just drafted. So now they're pretty damn solid on offense now. Eli's got some toys to throw to. And while Prescott may take a step back, it's a good possibility that he may not because of who's around him. Remember, he still has Jason Witten. He still has Escobar. He still has Ezekiel Elliott behind him. He still has a solid offensive line in front of him. He still has Des Bryant on the outside. He still has a lot of good talent around him on offense. And if the defense can shore itself up, then that'll be what helps them stay above water. So while he may go into a slump, but I don't think it's going to be enough to make them to cause them to fall off to where they are, at the bottom of the division. They're going to be definitely, in competition for that division. But I honestly believe that the Eagles made enough improvements to take that division from them. And no one's repeated in the East as division champs since the Eagles did it last, which was a while ago, during Andy Reid's prime. So no one's won back-to-back division championships yet in a long time in the NFC East. So it really is anyone's division. And it's been that way. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a bloodbath. It should be some good football. The first game of the season for us is going to be at Washington. So I'll be able to watch that game, and I will have many beers watching that game, and and there will be great swearing.
I will be watching Andy Reid get smoked on opening night.
Well, just be sure he watches his ribs get smoked as well.
Yes,
Andy
of course. Well, I mean, the Patriots opening game is on Thursday because when you raise a banner, that's when you play on Thursday night to open the season.
I see what you're doing, and I'm not going to say that I like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. Pineapples.
All right.
Pineapples.
But then I'll be able to watch the Eagles on Sunday because I'll have no emotional stake in any game. So
I'm okay with that. I'm okay. Yeah. All right. So moving on to my beer of the week. So Ken is unable to enjoy a beer in his location. So I will have my beer of the week, which is Lagunitas Stupid. Stoopid, and I don't know what it's supposed to taste like, so I bought it because I'm like, well, this brand is pretty good, and they're trying to do something with it. It's got 6.3 alcohol by volume, so it's not.
Oh dang!
It's not a super harsh beer, but it's there, and it's just an interesting looking up as a wit beer, I guess. So hold on, let me give this thing a taste. Hold on. Wow, this is not a football watching drink at all. This is no, listen, all right. So football watching beers tend to have a much cleaner presence on the palate, right? They're not gonna like football drinking beer. You're gonna have several of them and still be relatively okay, right? Like, they don't sit in your palate. Like, I wouldn't have a Guinness watching football because that'd be the only beer I have.
Unless you're doing cow bombs.
Yeah, I mean, even then, that's like I'm doing car bombs, so obviously the game's not important to me. So if I'm doing car bombs, we're not watching the game. So that's when I'm talking about a beer that's good for the game, it's something that's clean, like a Hefeweizen. Like Blue Moon's a good clean beer you can have during the game. You can have several of them; they don't sit on your palate. But this fucking beer, oh man, this is a cigar beer. This is you have to pour it in a glass and enjoy it and twirl your mustache fucking beer. This thing is it's a classy fucking beer. It's just it's more jazz lounge than football game. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not a bad beer.
Right.
I just like, if it's in the fridge, I'll drink it. It's not a tragedy. It's just you're not gonna have a lot of these. You're not gonna crack up one of these on the beach after volleyball because it's not refreshing at all. It's not refreshing at all. Yeah. It's very heavy on the palate. It's heavy on the palate. So if you happen to see Lagunitas Stupid, just know that if you plan on consuming this during a sporting event, plan on consuming one because you're not going to want another beer afterward because your palate will be totally
basically
trashed.
What you're saying is if they have it on tap at a sporting event, buy it.
If you like to punish yourself, go for it. I mean, it'd be the only beer you have.
But then you don't spend as much money on the concessions booth.
If that's the logic, then yes. If that's the logic, then yes. In fact, you know what? If they have Guinness, just buy that. That way you get a meal out of it too. All right. So we're gonna go into the hot take of the week. Hot take. Holy shit! Right, and I've got a steaming hot pile of take for you. Hot take. Browns finished second in the AFC North this year. I said it. I said the Browns finished second in their division this year.
You're really pinning that on a lot of young draft picks panning out.
I am. I'm also putting it on the fact that a lot of the divisions are old. There's no C. Smith in Baltimore. Ben Roethlisberger is ancient and he's about done. The defenses aren't what they used to be in either place. The Ravens, the Ratbirds, and the Steelers, their defense is not what it used to be.
And then there's the Bungles.
The Bungles just drafted 3 or 4 more inmates. So, all the talent they have.
Wait. Speaking of the Browns and inmates, they drafted a guy in the 6th round who projected as second-round talent. Was it Caleb Brantley, who, for all intents and purposes, should be an inmate because he struck a woman in a bar, but there are no charges going to be filed.
Yeah.
So, they got lucky there. So, maybe your pick pans out because luck seems to be favoring the Browns.
Well, let's be real. If your fortunes rest on a 6th round draft pick, you're screwed anyway. But excuse me, it's never cool to hit a woman. So
No, it isn't.
It's not okay. You're never going to hear me say that you can just haul off and give him 5 across the eyes and it's going to be okay. Yeah, better be in some life-threatening stuff before you put hands on somebody like that.
Yeah.
Especially.
But like the Browns also have to. Speaking of moving along here, the quarterback play. You gonna hope that Brock Osweiler leads you, or are you gonna go with the kid
Brock
from Notre Dame?
Was a salary dump. So all right, look. I watched them play last year, right? I watched Cody Kessler play last year. He was solid. The problem with Cody Kessler and all the other quarterbacks, with the exception of RG3, was they had no protection. So on top of running for their lives, they were getting hit a lot, which caused a lot of injuries. They went through 6 different starters last year due to injuries.
They did.
RG3 didn't even finish week 1. He ran out of bounds and hurt himself week 1 against the Eagles. Week 1. RG3's done. RG3 finished exactly 1 game this year. He started and finished 1 game. He got injured in week 1. He waited till like week 15, came back, started and finished that game. Week 16, he got hurt again. That's what happened to the Browns. So the Browns brought a lot of talent on deck. And I believe that they brought in some linemen, which was really their biggest problem was the offensive linemen. They just simply couldn't protect who they had. You can stick anyone back there, and they're not going to succeed because you have defensive ends coming upfield totally untouched. And your quarterback is going to get – I don't care if you have 2004-era Michael Vick. He's going to be looking out of his ear hole at some point. He's not going to get away. So you got to protect him. So I believe that Hugh Jackson has the Browns on a right path, and they're going to go – they're going to make some strides this year. And because the rest of the division is going to fall apart, they're going to finish second. That's what I'm saying. And also, apparently –
that's a shitty hot take, bro.
It's supposed to be shitty. It's supposed to be a hot take. I think that the rest of the AFC North falls apart enough so that the Browns finish second. Now, I didn't say they were going to make the playoffs. They will not take the wild card.
Okay.
They will not take the wild card. They will not sniff the playoffs, but they will finish second in the AFC North. There's a good chance Pittsburgh takes first. It could be Cincinnati. It could be the Ratbirds. Who knows? But there's going to be some sliding for those teams. So we're going to see how it works out. And, if you don't like it, fight me. Like, seriously, send me some email.
Okay, fine.
Send me some email to dirtdiggler2823@gmail.com. Send it to me. All right, I want to hear it. Tell me that I'm retarded and I suck and I'm smoking crack because the Browns finished in second, or because I said that, Brady's the GOAT or whatever. Hit me up. Send me some nasty grams, and I'll give you your airtime. I will read your nasty gram on the air, as I promise every week.
Holla at your boy.
Holla at your boy. No one ever does it. I'm challenging you, listeners, however many are out there. Hit me up, and we're gonna discuss whatever you want to discuss, right? So, as usual, I'm on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Mixcloud, and YouTube. All right, I'm on YouTube now. Been on YouTube for a while, and of course the email dirtdiggler2023@gmail.com. Hey, look, man. Hey, it's been real. It's been fun. And I'll honestly say it's been real fun. Came from Connecticut. You got any parting words?
Hey, I'm happy to be part of the show, and I hope we get to do this more often. And I hope I didn't kill you guys with my pro-Patriot stance.
Nah, because we've had Steelers fans on and Ratbirds fans on the same show, which was hilarious. Yep. It was great. I loved it. It was so great.
Get a Jets fan. Get Bolton.
I can't. He's in New York doing his thing, man. But
yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, it's so I'm not against having fans of other teams. I like to have fans of other teams on. It makes the show more interesting. But either way, like I said, it's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. And hey, Dirt Diggler out.